Hiya YouTubers, this is Superman G coming back at you one more again. And today I have a request from a coworker who wanted me to show them how to upgrade their laptop to make it a little more faster. And I don't know what kind of laptop they're running. I have no idea what the specs of it are, but the process is still the same. No matter what you have, it's all about whether or not you are able to access these areas on the laptop, meaning the hard drive area or the memory area, which are the two places that you can only upgrade on a laptop that is probably a couple or a few years older. That's about all you can upgrade. And so he doesn't know what he needs to do in order to make the upgrade. So I'm going to make this video showing how to upgrade the laptop's hard drive from a standard HDD hard disk drive to a new and improved SSD solid state drive, and also show him where he can go to upgrade the memory in the laptop as well. Now I'm going to be using my laptop as an example. So his laptop may vary from what I have on my laptop versus what he has on his laptop. So hopefully he can follow along with this and he will be able to have access to those areas. So the next time I start up this video, I will be at my laptop showing the steps on what he needs to do to upgrade. I will also be depicting pictures excuse me, in this video, showing the parts that he needs for the upgrade, so he'll have a general idea, a visualization of what the parts look like. Okay, I'll be right back at you. Alright YouTubers, I'm back and this is my laptop. This laptop originally was running Windows 7. However, I was able to upgrade it to Windows 10. But prior to that, I had upgraded the hard drive and the memory to the solid state drive, and I upgraded the memory from, I think it was 8 gigs to 16 gigs, and it's running very well. It's an HP, and I know some people say HP stands for horrible product, but that's their opinion. I've had no problems with it. I can't say it's been flawless. I think every computer will have its problems, but it's been running fine and I'm still enjoying it. So on that note, I'm going to take this laptop and I'm going to flip it over to where the access of the hard disk drive and the memory is. Now, like I said, laptops vary from manufacturer to manufacturer, model to model. So this may not be a direct representation of the person who requested me to do this video's laptop. So this is the battery, of course, and anytime you make upgrades on a laptop, you want to make sure that you remove the battery. Usually there's a latch or a switch, something in the general area of the laptop. In this case, mine is right here, and if I slide it to the right, to the left, sorry, then the battery comes out. What you can also do is make sure that there's no residual discharge in the laptop. So what you want to do is you want to open it up and you want to press the power button just to make sure that drains all the residual energy left in the capacitors of the laptop. Once that's done, you can close the laptop back, flip it back over, and at this point you can remove the cover, the back cover of the laptop. Now mine is pretty much simple. All I have to do is, once again, I just use the slider to the right and this cover comes off. Okay. Once the cover comes off, you are now in the inside of the laptop. So I'm going to try to use my zoom function here if I can. Try to get you in a little closer. So this is the memory. Let me say this. Before you touch anything, make sure you have touched something of a metal or something that will discharge static electricity from your body, because laptop components are probably a little more sensitive than a desktop's components. But the effects are still the same if you discharge static electricity on these components. It may or may not damage them. So I just want to stress, if you have an anti-static wrist strap and you wish to use that, by all means, you can use it. Better safe than sorry. But in any case, if you don't, you can just touch the outside of the case. That'll keep you somewhat discharged. This is the let me try to get you up there. This area here is the fan for the exhaust of the heat. You can touch that as well. That's fine to touch. Okay. So with that being said, this is the memory area. These are the two 16 gigs of total 16 gigs of memory that I installed. They're 8 gigs apiece. So when you go to take out memory of a laptop, you have this white colored clip right here, and you have this white colored clip right here. Memory on a laptop is totally different from desktop memory. It's a lot smaller. It's what's called SO-DIMM. S-O-D as in dog, I, M as in man, M as in man. So that's the type of memory that you need. But you also have to make sure that you have the right frequency and the right type of memory for your particular laptop, because all the memory will not, every memory or all the memory, SO-DIMM memory, it'll fit, but you got to make sure that's the right frequency. If it's not, your computer may not boot. You may get an error message. The computer may not even start. It'll probably just give you a series of beeps. Okay. With that being said, you have to check your motherboard's manufacturer website, or if you have the manual, the owner's manual, it'll be in there. In any case, find out before you buy the memory to make sure that you buy the correct memory. You also have to check to make sure or find out how much memory your laptop can hold. Just because you want to put in 16 gigs of memory doesn't necessarily mean that 16 gigs of memory this laptop will recognize. It may only recognize 12 gigs of memory. Once again, find out from your manufacturer's website, and you can check your owner's manual to find out, to make sure what maximum amount of memory your laptop will take. With that being said, we are going to go over to the hard disk drive. If I can get my okay, now I can move it. Okay, this area right here is the hard disk drive. Alright, and usually here's a screw, and this area right here will allow me to pull back this covering, and then there's like probably I think one more screw that's under here, and from there I would be able to remove the laptop, I mean the hard drive from the laptop. Okay, laptop memory, a laptop's hard disk drive is typically an HDD, unless you know the newer systems. You can probably upgrade to an SSD. If you don't, your laptop's gonna come with a standard HDD hard disk drive. And I actually have a they look almost similar to the new SSDs, but the HDDs have the typical spindle platters, the little disc like items that's in the hard disk drive, and then it's got the actuator arm that actually reads the information off the platters of the spinning disc when they spin. So SSDs have no moving parts. They're all memory, flash memory. So it uses chips instead of mechanical moving parts such as spindles or the actuator arm. And with that, that's what creates them to be a lot more efficient and a lot more faster than the typical hard disk drives. So I'm also going to put pictures on what the standard HDD looks like, and then what the SSD look like, and the differences between the two are very major. So on that note, you have the HDD drive that you would need to replace or upgrade to an SSD, and you have your memory here that you would also have to upgrade. And with that, that's basically all you have to do to upgrade a laptop. Your HDD to a solid state drive or an SSD, and then upgrading your memory from the typical 4 or even 8 gigs to possibly a 12 or 16 gig, maybe even more, depending on the manufacturer of the motherboard and the computer rather, to a much faster memory. And with that, that concludes it. That's all you have to do. If you have issues with installing or removing these memory modules, all you do basically is there are these tabs on the side, and you just pull them outward. And when you do, you can see the memory popped up. And all you do, just remove it. That's it. That's all you have to do. Make sure that you put them in the right orientation. You don't want to put them in the wrong way. So if one memory module goes in and the name, in this case Vengeance, is facing you, then the other module is going to be facing the same exact way. Okay? The way you also insert it back into the laptop or the memory slot, you're going to put it in at an angle. Okay? So when you slide it in, it's kind of hard to see with my hand in the way. So let me try to get you guys in a little closer. And okay, there you go. Alright, so when you put it in, you're going to put it in at an angle. Alright, and make sure this notch right here, you see that notch? That notch right there is the notch that's going to go inside of the notch that's on the memory slot area, which is about right here. You can probably see it. It's right there. And when you line those up, that's when you know you have the correct orientation for the memory. If it's not, it's not going to go in. You can try it, but you'll wind up tearing something up because the notch right here will prevent it from going further. If you try to force it, you're going to damage the memory module, and then you're going to have to buy another memory module. Okay, so make sure you take your time and watch what it is that you are doing. Okay, you're going to put it in at an angle, and when you do, you'll see it slides right in there. Okay, after you get it in there, all you do is press down, and these two locking tabs on the side will basically grab it once it gets into place, and you could probably hear it as well. You probably heard it go click. That means the memory module is installed. The same thing goes for the first one. I just didn't take it out because there was no sense in doing both of them when I could do one. The concept is still the same. And that's it. I am not going to, let me back up. Okay. Alright. And that's it for your memory. Now as far as your hard drive, as I've said, there are screws on either side. I have two here and I have two here, and there should be one. Let me see if this will, okay, this can come out. Alright, so now let me get you in closer. Alright, so now there's a screw right here, and then there are two screws or a screw on either side. Okay, I'll tell you what, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and I wanted to go and get something that, if you're going to be working on a laptop, you're going to need some tools. You can use your standard around the house tools, your Phillips screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, depending on what it needs. But if you need something like a star key or something other than your typical Phillips or your flathead, you're going to need some tools specifically for laptops because they use smaller screws. With that being said, I have this, which is the, back it up a bit so you can see it. This is a laptop and tablet screen replacement toolkit. And I received this from a website called laptopscreen.com, and I've had to replace some screens on a few laptops that have come across my way. And this kit is actually very functional, and this is something that I highly recommend that you get because it has just more than your typical flathead or Phillips. It's got a lot more tools, tricks for the trade, if I can use that term. A lot of different ends on these drivers that you may or may not need, but it's better to have in your toolkit. This is a plastic pry bar where you can pry around the outside edge of the laptop so you don't damage it. This could be a jumper puller or a wire puller from connections on the motherboard, and then you have all these other drivers as well. This is a very handy tool. It saved my hide many a times. And what I'll do is, just to make sure that, if you want to get this, I'm going to put the link to the website or where to find this online. And I'm also going to put a video portion of it to where you can go to in order to find this on their website. Okay. Also, if you don't have that kit, oh, and by the way, these are magnetized. They do come magnetized. However, in case you do not have a magnetic connection with this, I suggest, and I'm going to put it in the link in the description of this video, you can grab one of these off Amazon. I don't know if Newegg sells them. I did get this off Amazon. And what this is a magnetizer demagnetizer tool. And this will help magnetize any screwdriver. You just slip it in, just slide it through the hole once. Usually one time again, if it doesn't, twice. And this will magnetize any driver, screwdriver, flathead, starhead, whatever it is, it will magnetize that driver. And then to demagnetize it, you just run across the top. You just run across the top edge. There are two sides of it, and that'll demagnetize it. This tool is very handy, and if you're working with laptops, especially with the small screws, I highly suggest you get a tool, whether it's this one or any one, that will magnetize your drive, because with it being on a laptop with these small screws, if that screw falls anywhere inside this laptop and you're not able to get it, then if you don't have a magnetized screwdriver, it's going to make it that much more difficult for you to get that particular screw out of your from wherever it is that it is falling. So with that, I'm going to demonstrate how to take, I wasn't going to do it, but I'm going to demonstrate. I'm going to get you in a little closer here. I'm going to demonstrate how to take out the hard drive, and also show you, let me get my tool out here. It's been a while since I've opened this puppy up, and I think I'm going to go with this one. Okay, once again, touch the sides of the laptop just to make sure you don't have any residual static electricity. So I have 3, and the driver I have is too small. Let's try this again. It's been a while. Like I said, it's been a while since I've been in here. So, you have to forgive me for that. Alright, perfect fit. So now with that, this is one screw, and usually there'll be instructions, maybe on this laptop or maybe somewhere around the area, that shows you how to uninstall or install the hard drive. In this case, my instructions are telling me to remove this screw and this screw first, and then to remove this screw second, and then 3 is where I pull the drive back using this black tab right here, and then I just lift it out. Okay, so I'm going a little in opposite direction. So let me, for the demonstration purposes of those who are willing to do this, I'm going to follow the instructions to the T. So first I'm going to unscrew this screw, and when you're unscrewing these screws, make sure you press down and turn them, because sometimes they don't always come out when you want them to, or turn. And you don't want to strip these out. You strip these out, you're going to have a mess on your hand. Now, if you notice, the screw is still in here. It is spring loaded. Some screws may not come out. If they don't try to force them out. Don't try to pull them out. That's because that's there as a safety precaution, so that you don't take the screws out and they fall or they run and then you lose them. Okay, so leave them be. The only drawback to this is that sometimes the screws, you don't know when they're fully out of where they're connected to. So it's a trial and error. So you have to keep unscrewing them. And if the drive doesn't come out, you have to once again go back and try to make sure that you have unseated the screws fully. So with that, I'm going to proceed to unscrew the second screw. Laptops can be very intimidating to work on if you've never worked on them before. A lot of people don't like working on them because of the scale of them. They're small, the parts are small. There's not really many people that work on laptops, but for those that are willing to, it can be somewhat challenging, but it's not too difficult. And it usually depends. When I say difficult, I'm not using that term loosely, because they can be difficult, but it depends on what repair that you are doing to the laptop. In this case, upgrades are usually not that difficult. They're pretty straightforward. There's usually only maybe a few screws that you have to unscrew, maybe a few devices, not devices, but a few equipment that you may have to unplug or take out and move out of the way to get to the component or upgrade that you're trying to get to. Okay, so I've unscrewed these 3 screws as far as I know, and so now I should, and just to make sure, I'm going to give this probably a few more turns. I do remember this screw kind of gives me a little bit of a headache at times when I try to remove this hard disk drive, and so just to make sure. Okay, so screw removed, screw removed, screw removed, or unscrewed or unseated. Now I should be able to pull this back, because the reason why is because there's a SATA connection right here that the hard drive plugs into. Okay, that's the SATA port connection. So this will disengage that connection, and I should be able to take the hard drive out. So here we go. And once again, this can be a little bit difficult. Take your time. Sometimes these screws don't always pop out like they should. So you may have to give it a little wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. You can kind of see it's the teeth are showing up now. But once again, these screws can be, this screw is an issue for it too. It's just, I've had issues with this screw before, and it should just allow me to back it out. If it doesn't feel like it wants to come out, this screw may be able to come out. Once again, it's kind of a touch and go area, depending on the manufacturer. As a matter of fact, let me get a second driver so I can see if I can. I think the screw comes out, but I'm not 100% sure because it's been a while. Okay, so as you can see, the laptop is lifting up. That means that the screw has been unseated from where it was. So I should be able to pull this back. Ah, there it goes. And lift it up. Bring it forward a little bit. There it goes. So now this is out. I'm going to turn it over. This is the Samsung drive. Oh, dusty. Yeah. But this is the actual SSD drive that I had replaced from the older typical HDD drive. I still have that HDD drive, and I highly recommend you keep that as well, because that can be a backup drive in case this fails. And then that way you can make a clone. You can clone it back to a new drive if this one fails. Not saying it will, but it's electronic. Most electronics can fail. With that, this is the SATA connection. As you can see, these are the SATA connection. One is for the interface, and the other is for the power, the drive itself. Okay. On the side, you have one screw, another screw. Gonna flip it over. One screw, another screw. Okay. All you do is unscrew each of these 4 screws, and when you do, the drive is going to come out. Remember where you unscrewed the screws, but also remember how the drive is orientated or seated. This is what's called a hard drive caddy right here that the drive is in. You know, the drive itself is just this black. That's the drive itself. But this is it's called a hard drive caddy. Okay, and this is what helps mount the hard drive to the laptop. This laptop hard drive area right here. Okay, once you, and as you can see, once again, the screws, trying to get this right, let me back it up so I can have a little more. Okay, the screws, as you can see, they're still intact. You see that? And that's how they're supposed to be. Alright, so make sure I'm handling a little fuzzy wuzzy, so just be careful that you don't get too crazy, because these screws, if they fall out, they're going to run on you, and then you're going to be looking on the floor like somebody trying to find the contact lens, trying to find these screws. So make sure you handle it carefully. But once you get this drive out, you want to make sure that the way it came out is the same way it goes back in. So in this case, if this hard drive is seated in here, where this is the instructions, and I see those gold teeth, I call them teeth, those gold connectors, then when you replace the drive, it should show those same gold connectors, and that means that you have placed it in the correct orientation. Okay, once you do that, you can go ahead and place the drive back inside the laptop. Now, before this happens, I made a video showing how to clone the drive, so watch that first before you do this, if you plan on using this drive or the information on this drive. Like if you want to keep all your settings, all your files, programs, watch the video that shows how to clone the drive first before you replace, because if you don't and you replace this drive, you're going to have a clean drive. There's not going to be anything on it, no operating system, no program, nothing's going to be on there. So if you wish to clone the drive, watch my video that I'm going to have, that I have on my channel rather, about how to clone the drive. If you are not interested in cloning the drive, you just want to, well, I want to get rid of the drive, and you just want to put a brand new drive in there, then don't clone. You don't have to worry about cloning the drive. That's fine. It's just an option. And once you get the new drive in here, you're going to place it back in the same way it came out. And it could be a little tricky, Let me get you in closer. Okay, let's see what's going on. And you're gonna slide it in. Watch this end back here. Watch this end back here, because it's gonna go down in the hole in here, and it may just make sure it doesn't stick out on this end down here. So you want to make sure you get in there. So you want to put it in on an angle, almost like you did with the memory module that I had. So you're gonna put it in kind of like at an angle, and yeah, just want to make sure you get your teeth of those gold connectors right inside that SATA port area, that SATA connection area. Okay. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'm doing this backwards. I'm sorry. I'm supposed to go back first. Sorry. Sorry about that. Because I have to pull it back. Okay. Now it's in there. Okay. Screws are in the holes. Now all you do is pretty much, once you get it aligned, all you do is just push it forward, and you'll see those teeth disappear right inside that SATA port connection. And sometimes it works. Like I said, don't force anything. If it won't go, don't force it. Sometimes these can be a little tricky, because this screw here is kind of like the culprit. It should slide right in there with no problem. If it doesn't, once again, don't force it. Take it out and try again. It should slide right. If it's giving you resistance, don't force it. That means there's something that's not lined up correctly. I'm trying to find that. So if it does, back the drive out and try again. But it should go right in there. And it could be a screw that's keeping it from getting to where it needs to get to. Make sure your screws are mostly backed out, not all the way, because like I said, they could fall, and then you gotta run after them. Okay, alright, so alright, I'm gonna try this again. Okay, there it is. I think I just had to give it a little more force when I backed it out and pushed it forward again. Okay, but you probably heard it click when it went in there. Okay, that's a good thing. Once you have it in there, you can start tightening down your screws. And because they're spring loaded, you're gonna have to put a little pressure on these screws to get them to get down into the grooved area of where they have to screw down in. And because of the spring, so the spring is going to give you a little resistance. So you're going to have to do a little pushing down on the driver just to make sure that those screws get in the grooves and they get secured in there. This one's going okay. There he goes. He's in there. He's in there. He's in there. Alright, you give it a little wiggle just to make sure that it's secured in there. That's fine. Once it's in the hard drive caddy, it's pretty much safe. Okay. Alright, that's done. And from here, I just close this cover back up. And at this point, if you want to, you know, kind of dust it out, you can if you see any dust. And you know, I wouldn't suggest taking a leaf blower and dusting this out. You can usually just take a compressed air, or they actually sell little mini, it looks like a leaf blower. It's like a little mini, you know, air blower. You can get that and blow that out and dust it out, and that'll take care of that situation. So with that, now you can start to put the cover back on, and back it out a bit. Get your back on here. Now we can put the cover back on, and the cover just slides back on there. Make sure it's even. Make sure there are no ends pointed out on the sides. Push it. That's locking. Once you get it there, motor tap. Ah, there you go. Click. It's in there. That's on. Now you place your battery back onto the laptop. Now, the reason why this battery is so big, and I didn't explain this earlier, and I should have explained it earlier, but I'm going to explain it now. The reason why this battery is so big is because this is a 9-cell battery, not a 6-cell, which typically comes with laptops. They usually come with a 6-cell battery, so everything is flush with a 6-cell, and it's a smaller battery. But I got a 9-cell battery, which you can purchase anywhere, eBay, Amazon, wherever the manufacturer batteries are sold to the laptop. You can actually buy them from Batteries Plus and Bulbs, I believe, as well. But this is a 9-cell, so this is going to give me a little more time when the laptop is unplugged. So instead of it being maybe 2.5 hours, depending on how you use it, I can probably stretch this to about 3.5 hours, maybe even longer, depending on how you use it and depending on what components are installed and on the laptop. Like if you go from an HDD to an SSD, SSDs, they don't burn as hot as HDDs, so you'll save a little energy there. And so that's food for thought. So if you want to get a 9-cell battery, go to Newegg. Maybe Amazon sells it. I bought this off Newegg. As a matter of fact, I take that back. The first one I bought, the first replacement I bought from Newegg. The second one I bought off eBay. Yes, eBay sells these too. What doesn't eBay sell, right? So with that being said, I'm going to place the battery back in, and I'm going to have to that. You want to push the release level forward. That'll enable the battery to slip in. Sometimes you can just push it in and it'll snap in place. If it doesn't, just push the release level forward and you'll see the arms move back, the connecting arms, and then just slide the battery in there. Once it's in there, you may have to press it to. Sometimes this can be a little, and once again, don't force anything. And there it goes. It's locked. Alright, and that's it. You can flip the laptop over, okay, and then start it up and make sure that everything is working. Make sure you don't get any beeps. As far as error messages, if something isn't right, if something doesn't start up, the laptop doesn't start up, or if it starts giving you error messages or beeps, go back and recheck the seating of the memory and the hard drive. Make sure everything is seated correctly, and if you've done that, the computer should start fine. If it doesn't, then you can get online, or you can contact various other websites to look for support and why the computer is not booting up. Okay, that pretty much concludes it for this tutorial on how to upgrade a laptop. I hope it helps you out. You guys be safe. Take care. Peace out.